Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thanks so much for joining us. Our guest, Gary Kovacic, he is mayor of Arcadia. We thank you so much for joining us, sir. I want to talk to you about the recent wind incident in the San Gabriel Valley. Arcadia, 570 trees down. Pasadena, over 1,250 trees down. It was really tough.
Yeah, incident doesn't give it its
that was
justice.
kind.
Yeah, hurricane force winds blew in on 30th of November,
Right.
1st of December, knocked out all the power in our town. As you mentioned, 570 city trees. When I drove down Huntington Drive the next morning to go to our emergency operations center, it looked like a disaster area, which in fact it was.
I actually drove through Pasadena on December 2nd, and it was remarkable. You know, seeing trees on the cars. I mean, it looked literally like a bomb had hit the area.
80 and 90 foot deodar pines that had been around maybe since Lucky Baldwin's day, and they were just laying in the street, blocking traffic on major thoroughfares.
But here's the challenge, Gary, is that cities, they're not really set up for major disasters of this magnitude, because this really is the biggest modern disaster in the San Gabriel Valley. And it's especially difficult right now when city budgets are being really hit from all angles. How are you handling the cleanup?
Well, fortunately we have sufficient reserves, at least in the City of Arcadia, to pay the upfront costs, which are going to be well over $3 million.
That's a lot of money for a city the size of Arcadia, Pasadena, Monrovia, whatever.
And we're entertaining all offers for state and federal funding.
Well, let's talk about that. Has the state declared the area a disaster area and therefore subject to state assistance?
Last Friday, a group came down from Sacramento, their emergency response team. We gave them an overview of the damage in our city, as well as other cities met with them. Took them on a tour of some of the areas of damage, and later that day, the governor declared an emergency disaster.
And does the state have an emergency fund a la FEMA for the federal government?
That's what we're trying to find out.
Right.
The information we receive is this is sort of a stepping stone to get federal disaster funds.
Okay.
And so we're working all those angles. As I say, we're happy to have reserves, but we really need additional assistance.
Why is it, you know, when you think about other disasters, maybe they were bigger, they got more press, but the federal government declared disaster areas almost immediately and the funds were coming in. You know, it's a few weeks now. Was it just, what is it? Is it just the area was too small? It wasn't big enough?
It may be. Maybe we weren't on their
radar.
map.
Sure.
You know, part of the problem is also that a significant impact was loss of power, which is Edison's jurisdiction. And so the city can cooperate, can monitor, but it's up to Edison to restore the power. And so there's a lot of moving parts in a disaster like this, and you learn a lot about disaster preparedness.
It's interesting. When you talk about Edison and power being out, one of my colleagues here at Time Warner Cable had his power out, needed to eat, and as a result, ate something that he shouldn't have eaten. And that's a common story. I mean, that really is a common story where there can be health consequences you'd never expect from a windstorm. So what's the next step in terms of repairing from this incident and planning for another one?
Absolutely. We're doing a street-by-street cleanup right now. We start at the north and south ends of town and working towards the middle. That's going to be about a 2-week process, but we're clearing all the debris from all the streets. We have to learn some lessons in communication as well. We have to go back to basics, because when you lose your power, you can't rely on the website or Twitter or emails to get information.
You got to go back to the radio, and that's if you have batteries.
Yeah, and we had a robocall system, but some folks didn't have their phones working, so back to things like door hangers and knocking on doors.
Okay, his name is Gary Kovacic. He is the mayor of Arcadia. I'm glad things are being cleaned up in the San Gabriel Valley. My name is Brad Pomerance. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe. Happy holidays. Back to HLN.